It's the Jake and Ben Show. 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 Oh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jake and Ben Show. I'm Jake. I'm here with Ben.
I know.
And it's been a little bit since we did this. We kind of just scheduled it really poorly, and then we skipped a week, I believe. But we're back with probably a decent sized show. We have a handful of things we want to talk about. We have to catch up a little bit for the week we missed, but yeah. How's it going?
Yeah, then let's get into it.
Wait, hold on, Ben. Before we get into it.
You don't want to get into it.
No, I don't want to get into it yet. Ben and I were discussing briefly before we started what we're going to talk about, and it just came to my attention. I just remembered that the first Solo reactions came out, and I don't know if you had that in your rundown. Did you?
I didn't want to add them because there's a handful out there, but I can give them to you right now if you want.
The Solo reactions?
Yeah, we can get into it.
How
about this?
Okay.
I have read most of them, and I can just kind of break it down and put it into one little box, and that can kind of be what's there. Or I can pull up all the tweets now.
No, you can break it down. I've read some of the tweets, but you and I can discuss it just because I think that's one of the more relevant stories going on right now, just how people feel about Solo. So let's start with that.
Well, I'll say this, because one of the things in here was the tracking number for Solo. I will say the tracking number, and then we can go on to the reactions, because I think those will kind of be hand in hand. So
yeah, that's
Solo,
cool. Let's do it.
It is tracking towards 150 to 170 million opening weekend box office. Now, with that, it is the second highest pre-sale of the year behind Infinity War and ahead of Black Panther. I think that is significant because this is Solo. I didn't think it was going to make that much money, but hey, if it makes that much, that's a hell of a lot of money. Going into the first reactions, they had their premiere 2 days ago, I believe, and people saw it. They were able to tweet their reactions out. How, from everything I've read of them, they seem just generally positive and mostly highlighting the cast. Alden Ehrenreich, I've been hearing a lot of good things of how he is a really good Han Solo, and that if you have any worries, questions about him, he kills it. It's what I've heard. I've heard Lando, Donald Glover, kills it. I've heard somewhat mixed things about Emilia Clarke as Kira. I've heard good, and I've heard meh. I've heard a lot of good things of the droid L3. I forget the actress who plays her. And the one thing they all have in common, which is something I've said here, is when all I need from Solo is for it to be a fun adventure movie. All these tweets, most of them have the word fun adventure. And a really fun adventure, solid Star Wars movie. Most of them have that there. They're also the tweets that are, meh, it was all right. It was disappointing. I feel like there's been more positive tweets than negative, but there are still the negative. If I'm to put them all in one. When you read the reactions, did you get more excited? Were you just, whatever?
They're probably about what I expected. I think they're mixed for sure. People throw fun around a lot, and it's almost hard to tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, people call Justice League fun, and I guess maybe it is on a surface level fun, but it's such a half-assed compliment, it seems these days. So you can't really get much out of that. So I don't know. I have seen the Alden Ehrenreich praise and the Donald Glover praise. So I think that's good for sure. I'm just wondering to what extent is this movie fun? How good is it? It's such a vague term and people throw it around a lot. So I don't know. I still I've been lukewarm on this movie. This doesn't do anything to make me more excited or more optimistic about it. I haven't changed my feelings. So, we'll see. And about the tracking numbers, you were saying it's more than Black Panther. I think is it doubled?
Pre-sale?
Yeah, pre-sale. Sorry, pre-sale. Is it doubled Black Panther?
I don't think it's doubled. It's just that for pre-sale, as of now, it's ahead. I don't think it'll make as much as Black Panther. Black Panther made a shit ton of money.
I thought I heard that pre-sale tickets Solo doubled Black Panther's pre-sale.
It might have. With that, it's been about a week since I heard that. I quickly did my my quick research again. It could have said double. I can quickly look that up now to confirm.
Yeah, it doubles. I just don't worry. I just give it a little fact checking. Just because, like, you saw the amount of money Black Panther made, and just because it doubled it pre-sale doesn't mean it's going to double it overall. That's not how things work. Yeah, but it is still impressive to see that,
And one thing to also say is that it is going to have the 4-day weekend holiday, so that could play a factor into the number that you see, which Black Panther, I believe, had that, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not sure. But, yeah, I think you more or less excited for Solo after the reactions, or are you about the same?
To be honest, reactions don't do anything for me.
Okay.
Because all they're doing is putting out reactions. Reactions sometimes could seem positive, and then you read a review, and it's really negative. I've started to get more excited for this movie, especially with all the clips they've been putting out. I've been trying to stay away from them, but I'll see one and I'll watch a bit, and I'm starting to like more of what I've seen. I feel with this movie, I wasn't a person like yourself that's like, whatever, we'll see. I was just more, hey, you're giving me a Solo movie. Hopefully it's good. I hope to enjoy it. All I need is just a nice fun adventure, a nice time to go to the movies, have some fun. I don't need it to be the best Star Wars movie of all time. We've talked, I'm not sure if we've mentioned it on here, like, we live in a day now where something either has to be the best or it has to be the worst. It can't just be, well, that was good, I enjoyed myself. It has to be, well, that was either the best Star Wars movie or that was the worst one. I don't expect it to be the best, and I don't expect it to be the worst. Wherever it falls, that's where it is. I'm excited for it, and I found myself getting more excited. And I'm looking forward to it. 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point. People are always like, it's either a 10 or a 0 at this point. But, that's not, oops, I just clicked my, switching to another file while recording will cause recording to stop. Are you sure you want to continue? No, oops, sorry, I almost just stopped the recording, stretched my arm. Anyways, where was I? Yes, you make a good point. I'm not sure if we did talk about that on this show or not, but yeah, it always has to be a 10 or a 0, or it has to be your favorite Star Wars movie or your favorite MCU movie. Otherwise, people think it's not good. Maybe that's a blanket statement, but that's definitely maybe the vocal minority online where you see a lot of people, getting backlash for there not being their favorite or whatever, and it's just kind of a dumb mindset to be in. I'm not saying this has to be the best Star Wars movie, of course, but I would like it to be better than just mediocre. But we'll see. That's kind of what I'm expecting, so I can be pleasantly surprised.
Well, you know what? Speaking of Star Wars, this is something, because there's been a lot of news, and this is something I forgot to put in the rundown. We were talking about this, and it made me think of this other Star Wars story, which I'll mention it real quick, because we have a lot of stuff to get to, is that last summer, Disney had their Expo D23. Kathleen Kennedy, a week or so before it came out, and said, hey guys, we're getting close to announcing the next Star Wars movie. It's going to be coming soon. A lot of people thought the ObiWan SpinOff was going to be announced at D23. It wasn't, and that was when the drama with Solo was going on, and they decided, let's not announce the next movie. Within that time, Rian Johnson's trilogy was announced, and then the guys from Game of Thrones, the showrunners, they had announced they're going to be writing and producing a series of movies. Now, within this time, there's no movies scheduled from Lucasfilm after 2019, which is Star Wars Episode 9. You would think they want to keep up with the one a year. Maybe you'll put one in 2020, and then maybe the first Rian Johnson film will come out in 2021. And people are starting to think, hey, is this ObiWan spinoff going to happen? What's going on? Well, and this hasn't been confirmed by Disney or Lucasfilm, but reports have come out that they are moving ahead with production on an ObiWan spin-off film. Most likely Ewan McGregor. I don't see why he wouldn't be in it. That if you're going to make an Obi-Wan movie, you got to have Ewan McGregor. But reports have come out, people, and again, what this means, you could hear this and say, oh, well, what does that really mean? I don't know who this person is, but, credible people have come out and said they have sources that within Lucasfilm that they are moving ahead with an Obi-Wan movie and that it has been greenlit. Now, like I said, Lucasfilm and Disney have yet to confirm this, but I think, and even with Ewan McGregor showing up at the Solo premiere, you may think, hey, what does that mean? With Lucasfilm in the past, if certain people show up to premieres, that might signal some things. I'm starting to think we will get this Obi-Wan spin-off film in 2020. And for the spin-off films, it's the one I've wanted. I know we've talked about it, and you didn't really care, and maybe you changed since the last time we talked, but it's the one I want, and if it does happen, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it will be announced soon.
Yeah, I heard probably from the same source as you that it is greenlit. I heard that yesterday, actually. And yeah, of course, Disney or Lucasfilm hasn't said anything. But as far as like my excitement for it, I still don't fully care. These spin-off Star Wars films don't really mean much to me. However, I think I'm looking forward to that more than a Solo movie. I think if Ewan McGregor comes back, that'll be cool. He's in the prequels, of course, so you're not getting introduced to a new classic character like you are with Alden Ehrenreich and Solo. I think you're probably right with that 2020 release date. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm still lukewarm on this, but I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. Now, see, I had a rundown of where I was going to go, but we started off with Star Wars, and you know what? There's another Star Wars story out there. That's no pun. I've got a story here of Star Wars, and you know what it is?
No, I don't know what it is.
Jon Favreau. He's producing a Star Wars television series for the Disney streaming service. So he was on the red carpet for Solo, and I didn't watch these interviews. I just heard of how this went about when somebody was asking Jon Favreau of like, what is he doing? And he's talking about The Lion King. And then he was kind of like, to the interviewers, like, I'm also doing a Star Wars TV show. And this guy didn't really talk about it. And then somebody else got a hold of him and was like, the Star Wars TV show. And then Jon Favreau came out and he confirmed the timeline, when it will take place. And it will be taking place 7 years after the Battle of Endor, which is 7 years after Return of the Jedi, and in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, and will feature brand new characters. And I thought this was interesting, using cutting-edge tech a la The Jungle Book. How do you feel about this news?
I think, if they're using that tech, then Jon Favreau's a good pick. Of course, The Jungle Book and also The Lion King are very similar. And I think I briefly heard this news in passing that the TV series was going to be set 7 years after The Last Jedi. And I didn't think...
Return of the Jedi.
Sorry. Return of the Jedi. Yeah, sorry. Return of the Jedi. And I didn't think too much of it. But, the more I think about it, like, brand new characters, TV series, we're not going back to, the familiar and just redoing it, right? Like we talked about with Solo and Obi-Wan that we just talked about. So this is refreshing. And did you say a release date or when this would be happening? I wasn't sure there. Or
there hasn't been a confirmed release date. I believe that the streaming service is supposed to come out in 2019, I think towards the end of the year.
Okay.
And this was going to be something to like, this is our streaming service, this is why you should get it, and here it is.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. I'll definitely get it just for that show alone. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau is great. We talked about this on a previous episode. Jon Favreau is great. I love The Jungle Book, and I think that technology is great. And I think it'd be cool to bring to a Star Wars TV series. I'm excited just for this streaming service, maybe more so than just this TV series, just to see, what they do with it, what more can be done on their own proper streaming service. But yeah. That's interesting because I think streaming is the way of the future, and as for a big studio like this to own their own, I think it'll be an interesting experiment for sure.
Yeah, and one other thing to note, he also did say, which this won't do too much, but he also said that he is halfway through writing the first season, so he has been making progress on it, and it's. Like in a year and a half, maybe 2 years from now, we're going to have this Star Wars TV series, which I think if anything of all the new stuff, this one is starting to get more of my attention because I love The Last Jedi, and I think Rian Johnson can do special things with his own trilogy outside of everything. I believe the Game of Thrones guys they'll probably do something killer, but with that, nothing's guaranteed. If they say they have a series, they're contracted for a series of movies, but if the first one stinks, we're probably not going to get a series of them. If the first Rian Johnson movie stinks, you're probably not going to get the whole trilogy. Maybe you will. This one, I think television in today's time, especially with things like Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, a bunch of TV shows that I think TV now is at a place where you can tell the best stories. You have, the time to do it. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I think there's a lot of opportunities, even within that time. We've had books, we've had comics, but to be able to dive deep into that time period between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, I think will be nice. And even if you got a guy like Alden Ehrenreich, he could make an appearance in this TV show as Han Solo. If you're saying using this cutting edge technology, maybe you get a young Luke, maybe you get a young Leia pop up in here. From the books, Leia has, she's a big factor in this time with the politics that goes on. So I'm really looking forward to this. And it may, by the time we get there, maybe my most excited, I think I'm going to get most excited for this of the new stuff coming from Lucasfilm.
Yeah, as long as the younger Leia doesn't look like the Rogue One Leia, I'll be happy. But yeah, you were talking about TV series like today are great. Yeah, we're definitely living in the golden age of TV, and it's about time. We get a Star Wars show out of it because there's so much. There's so much ground you can cover with a TV series now. Back in the day when it was kind of like second to movies, where if you're an actor and you go to TV, you're seen as lesser or whatever, and they're obviously cheaper. But now, you can throw a lot of money into a TV series and really good talent into a TV series, and then you have hours to work with to tell an excellent story. So I think there's definitely so much potential in this project, and I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited. And you know what else I'm still excited for? It's here, Infinity War. I've seen it 4 times already. I love the movie. And we didn't get to cover the second weekend box office. So I'm going to give it to you right here. In its second weekend, it is the second highest second weekend behind The Force Awakens. It made $114 million in its second weekend. And I'll shout out the first weekend. It beat The Force Awakens. It is now the record of the highest domestic opening weekend, $257 million. Force Awakens, its second weekend, was $149. Now, one thing you can give to that, it was a holiday weekend. People weren't in school, people were off from their jobs. But hey, second highest second weekend, that's amazing. It's making all the money in the world right now. I think, it is approaching 1.5 billion. And it has now opened in China. What's significant about opening China, it's become a big market now for movies. And it has made 75 million as of now. It just opened yesterday. Just opened yesterday. So that's not the opening weekend. The numbers, what it's looking like for opening weekend in China is 200 plus million. Now, you may think, is that significant? Is it not? I'm going to read you 4 movies that opened up for their opening weekend numbers. So, the number 1 opening weekend in China, I've never heard of this, maybe somebody out there has, is Monster Hunt 2. That made $187 million. Now, a movie that a lot of people have heard of. Number 2, Fate of the Furious, $187 million. I'm going to jump to the 4, because it's significant to what we're talking about. Avengers Age of Ultron made $155 million. Then I'm going to jump to the number 49. And that is The Force Awakens. It made a $52 million opening weekend in China. Now, Star Wars movies, they haven't done great in China. Why that is significant is because Infinity War is making all the money in the world, and to add for it potentially being also the number 1 opening weekend in China. This movie, I would have never, and you can still call me crazy for thinking this, I wouldn't have thought this movie has a chance to potentially become the number 1 all-time worldwide. I'm starting to think it could get there. Now, it still is more than $1 billion off. Avatar's at $2.7 billion. It would have to still has to make a lot of money. But it's and also to shout out, it is the fastest movie to reach 1 billion. It's at 1.5. We're going into its third weekend. Now, something to go against it is we do have Deadpool coming up and we have Solo coming up. How much will that take away? We'll find out. But this movie's making all the money in the world.
Yeah, I do not think it'll beat Avatar. I think no way. It has to make over $1 billion still, especially with Deadpool coming out this weekend or next weekend. I don't think it has a shot at it. I think even the record fastest movie to $1 billion plays against its chances, because if you look at Avatar's opening weekend, Avatar I don't believe was even quick to $1 billion, but it just stayed in theaters for so long. It had legs like no other. It made more the second weekend than it did the first weekend, I believe. With Infinity War, everyone went out to see it right away, so that you got these huge numbers because everyone couldn't wait to see it. No one wanted to get spoiled. Everyone saw it right away, but I don't think it's gonna have those legs. Just, like I said, the Deadpool competition, and I think Avatar was lightning in a bottle. The way that performed, not opening huge, but being so fucking consistent, like no movie has been since. So I think you'd be crazy to think it beats Avatar, but if it does beat Avatar, I'll feel like an idiot. But no, I think Avatar is just a whole other level.
Do the China numbers do anything for you?
The China numbers do things for me. Yeah, we talked about last week about how worldwide opening doesn't mean much to me because it's not consistent. It can open at some countries. It opens at different countries, different times, right? But just the one country of China to open so big there does mean something to me. I mean, you mentioned the 70 plus million or whatever on one day. That's impressive as it is. And when you I don't know. See, wasn't familiar with how big movies open at China. I'm just a little ignorant to it. But when you mentioned 73 and the Force Awakens made like 50 something, right? Is that correct?
52 million in its opening
weekend, right? So when you tell me 73, when you first mentioned that to me, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the whole weekend. But it just opened yesterday, so that's 73s in one day. So no, it's definitely impressive. China is a huge market, and especially moving forward into the future. Studios have to watch out for China. They're just, in a good way, of course, watch out for China. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. But yeah, I don't think it's going to crack Avatar. But yeah.
If Infinity War were to, I think it has to do with China. Because if you look at The Force Awakens, it made most of its money domestically. It made close to $1 billion domestically. And it got to, I think, just over $2 billion, and that's with a very poor outing in China. Infinity War is clearly looking to have a very strong run in China.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think if it's to get close or to potentially beat it, it will be because of the China market.
Closer beat The Force Awakens or closer beat Avatar?
Avatar, I think for sure. Well, even for sure is to say a lot. I think it has a very strong case to beat The Force Awakens and potentially Titanic. I'm not confident to say it will beat Titanic and Avatar, but I'm feeling more confident than I would have a month ago or even 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's fair. I don't know if I'd call you crazy for saying beat Titanic. What's Titanic at? 2.4?
I don't remember the exact number, but let me get it up right here. So let's go.
The Force Awakens, I think it definitely has a shot at beating, just looking at China alone. Because Force Awakens, it did fine in China, but shit, Infinity War made more on one day.
I don't think it did fine in China at all. That was, and even
but I think Star Wars movies generally do that.
They don't
in
China.
China.
Don't do well in China. So
so it's fine.
Titanic is 2.1 billion.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely.
So I think.
Shit, then what's The Force Awakens? Because that has to be.
It's 2 billion. It's 40 million off of 2.1.
Oh, okay, shit. So they're right neck and neck, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Titanic. It's very close to 2.8. It's 2.7. Yeah, just a little 10 million off of 2.8. So, and Infinity War has a lot of work to do if it's to beat it, but. Hey, it could be a conversation in a month from now. talking about how that beat Avatar. If it did, it's a crazy time to be alive.
If it did,
If you care about numbers.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Speaking of numbers,
even if you don't care about numbers, like I know you are obsessed with, like, you love the box office, but even if you just passively care about numbers, I think it's still cool for anyone to see that this movie is now the highest grossing movie of all time. Like, you can not even like be super into movies or super into box office and still be impressed with that. So yeah.
Well, I don't even think we got a chance to cover this thing. It was a cool little thing. Star Wars, when Infinity War beat the record, they put out like a little post of it's when Rey is holding up the lightsaber,
right? Yeah,
but they cut it to Iron Man's hand. I thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was cool for sure.
Now you know it's opening in a week from now.
Deadpool
2. It's coming 1 week from now. Not even. We'll be seeing it in like 6 days. Its tracking is 150 million. That's a lot of money. It's not Infinity War money, but that's a lot of money. I believe the first one opened up to around 220, 225. I mean, I want not 220. I'm crazy. 120 to 125. Yeah, it's tracking to do well, to do very good. I'm looking forward to this. How excited are you for Deadpool?
I am excited for Deadpool. And, I didn't even realize it's only a week away. My girlfriend and I were talking yesterday or whatever, and we're going up to my cottage this week, and she mentioned, oh shit, we should see Deadpool while we're up there on the Thursday. And I was like, oh shit, Deadpool comes out, this week coming up. And, yeah, that's nice news because I'm excited for it. And yeah, did you you say the tracking numbers there? Because I was half listening
150.
to you. Yeah, 150. Okay. See, when the first Deadpool came out, and no one expected it to do the numbers it did, of course. It's an R-rated property with, a less familiar character. And then it did huge numbers. Everyone was like, wow. That it's the highest grossing R-rated movie, I believe, if that's correct. I'm sure it's the highest opening weekend R-rated movie.
I believe both.
Yeah. Okay. So, but now you tell me it's projected at 150. It's not surprising anymore.
Yeah.
It's good news because I root for this movie, and of course, but it's not like it was a couple years ago or a few years ago when Deadpool was like, holy shit, it made this much money, and now it's projected to make even more money, and it's like, yeah, that's to be expected, especially in the age of this superhero era we're in. People just love their superheroes, and especially superheroes that make fun of superheroes. It's just, I'm excited for this movie.
I'm very excited, but to me there's two things that stand out from this. I'll go to the first one, is that we have this potential deal with Disney and Fox, with Disney purchasing a large amount of Fox's, properties, which would be all their TV series, all their movie properties, including Marvel, and you could potentially have, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and you got Deadpool here going to Disney. Now, Bob Iger talked, which is, head of Disney, he was talking about this potential deal, and if it goes through, what would they change anything with Deadpool? Would it become PG-13, not R-rated? And he had said, well, we'd want to keep it the way it is, and essentially saying, like, we'll just have Deadpool as it is, kind of off on its own, but keep it in the tone of what it would be if the deal's to go through. Now, Comcast has come along and said, hey, we got $60 billion in cash, let's make a deal here. Whether that happens with Fox and Comcast or Fox and Disney, I still think the Fox and Disney deal will happen, but that's about like a year and a half away. What I think is significant of this is that you want Deadpool to make, if you like Deadpool the way it is, you want it to succeed. You want it to make money. Because if you look at the past R-rated comic book films, and just Hollywood as it is Logan made money, Deadpool made money. Now, if they both bombed, they'd say, nobody wants to see R-rated superhero film, blah, 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 blah. Now, you want this to make money, because if it does make a lot of money and the deal goes to Disney, then yeah, we'll still get the R-rated Deadpool. I don't think Disney will be like, oh, no, we can't have it R-rated. I think they will be fine with R-rated, but if it doesn't make that much money, then maybe there's a conversation there. The second thing that stands out from this is what I've been really curious to see what's going to happen is the numbers from Deadpool and Solo. Originally, I thought Solo was going to lose out on some money here, maybe open up to 70 million, with the tracking at around 150 to 170 million. Deadpool at 150. So Deadpool, let's say it opens up at 150. Hey, maybe it even breaks 200. Reviews come out, they're great. What's the second weekend drop? Like, what's it going to be? Because if we get Solo that opens up to like 150, 160, that's got to be a major drop off from like a potential 150 to like a 190. I'm curious to see what that is going to be like and how much it's going to play into the final box office numbers.
Yeah, I think
that's what I find more intriguing of this.
Yeah, I think Deadpool will take a hit the second weekend because, of course, it's another huge movie opening. However, I don't think it's going to actually deter its, box office too much because it's a R-rated film. It's maybe a slightly different audience than Solo. People can see, two movies. They don't necessarily have to see it one week and then the next week. Like, you can see them weeks apart and still give them your money. So I think that second weekend it'll take just a hit, as if it was opening up against Sherlock Gnomes. If Deadpool, the week after was Sherlock Gnomes, I of course no hit there, but I think just another big movie. But I don't think it's something to worry about. Otherwise, I don't think they would be doing this, opening it so close together. I think they're both going to be fine. Solo and Deadpool are going to make a shit ton of money regardless. So I think it's cool there. You mentioned the 20th Century Fox to Disney thing. I know they're saying they're going to keep it the same, but I almost don't trust them. I hope they keep it the same just because, censorship like that kind of irks me. I hope they keep it the same, and I hope they stick to their word. But, we'll see. I think I'd prefer... Look, you mentioned Comcast buying that. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't until you just mentioned there, but that feels weird to me. I don't know if I want I don't know if Comcast makes movies. All I know from Comcast is people tweet them some shit the odd time. People get mad at them and tweet them complaints. That's just what I know of them and see them. I hear they're pretty shitty. If I am thinking the right company, which I believe I am. However,
I believe Comcast, I'm not sure if they own, but I think they have some stake in Universal. I could be wrong there. So if somebody's listening, they know for a fact that it's not the case, but I do believe that they have some sort of stake with Universal.
Okay, see, because I'm kind of torn on this, because on one hand, I don't want Disney making every movie. Because, that's scary for the future. If Disney starts gobbling up everything, right? They already have, Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel. Eventually, it's just Disney everywhere, and you lose, Disney is making a broad range of films, but you do lose some of the individuality, which, I don't want to. However, Comcast taking it seems weird to me, so I don't know where I land. I think I'd probably want Disney to take it, and I don't know if they'd throw them into the MCU. I don't even think I want that because, I'd make it a different branch of Disney so we still get the same amount of movies. You throw it into the MCU, then we get a Wolverine movie once every 20 years because there's so many characters with so many movies. Keep it a separate branch, keep it a separate universe, keep Deadpool R-rated, and then I think it'd be cool if Disney had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll make quick comments on that. Is that something to keep an eye on is AT&T and Warner Brothers. AT&T was, I believe, going to purchase Warner Brothers. The government got involved and was saying it's too much of a monopoly, and now they're going to court over that, and that's a thing to watch for this potential Disney and Fox deal, is that it has to be vetted, it has to be approved, and if it does get approved, then there we go. But if the AT&T Warner Brothers thing turns out to be a big thing, maybe it'll affect Disney and Fox, but for a company getting too big, that's why you do have that monopoly law there. I'll go on to the deal with Disney and Fox. As much as like a sweaty will look at it and, oh yeah, that means Marvel is getting back X-Men and Fantastic Four. The deal, they didn't just make the deal because of that. They made the deal so when they get this streaming service, they can have all these TV shows, they can have all these movies, they put it on there. That was a big factor of them wanting to purchase. It just happens to be a bonus if you're sweaty that now we get Fantastic Four, now we get X-Men. For me, I want that. If we have to sacrifice Deadpool, I love Deadpool, I'll have those movies, But if I got to sacrifice Deadpool to get a great X-Men, a great Fantastic Four movie, whatever. I mean, we've had 3 Fantastic Four movies. They've all been shit. At least for, I think generally most people say they were
they've
shit.
all been shit.
I think Kevin Feige could do them justice. The X-Men. I don't think we would get like a standalone Wolverine movie, a standalone this. I think we would get our Uncanny X-Men. I think we will get an X-Men movie, and then we won't. Maybe down the road you get like a spin-off of this person or that person, but I think you start off and you go with X-Men, you get your Fantastic Four, and you build from there. Even with Kevin Feige coming out and saying, like, and Bob Iger saying, we have plans for the future. We got plans up until 2025. They're good. They're good whether they have X-Men and Fantastic Four or not.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
if they get them, then they're good. So I hope it goes through for that factor. I mean, I've liked a lot of the X-Men movies. I've liked Logan. And yeah, we probably wouldn't have got a Logan from a Disney...
Definitely not. Yeah.
Marvel X-Men. However, I have that movie now. I would like to see what Kevin Feige does with Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Okay, and this you think like in the MCU, so they're all the same universe.
Okay, so Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, and a lot of the heads came out and said before Infinity War came out when they were doing their, I forget what magazine it was. I want to say it was Variety. It was a magazine. They came out and they did their big Marvel Studios 10 years photo shoot, and they were talking about, and even they go back to now. They say there's gonna be 2 distinctive times: before Infinity War and after Infinity War, or maybe Avengers 4. Before Avengers 4 and after. What that means, we don't know.
Okay.
When we get into Avengers 4, maybe we got 2 different timelines. We'll find out in a year from now.
Do you want it
what
in the
exactly
MCU?
that means?
Do you want the X-Men and Fantastic Four in the
I
MCU?
do. I really do. I would love to see, and again, this would go if Sony and Marvel re-up their deal to have Spider-Man appear in the MCU, and like we have Spider-Man interacting with the Fantastic Four, even X-Men, awesome. Or even other characters to that matter. I would prefer them. At least Fantastic Four be a part of the MCU.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I said my opinion on that, but yeah, do you want to? We got some other things.
We do have some other things. Peter Jackson, are you a fan of the guy?
Yes.
Well, guess what? Reportedly, he's got a decision to make. He's got a decision to choose between the Amazon Lord of the Rings series, to what capacity, we don't know. Or, get this, a DC superhero movie. You see those 2 options, Peter Jackson, they're laid out to you. What are you going to take?
To me, my
At
answer...
least if you were him.
My answer...
If you were him and you're personal.
Okay. See, if I was him... Okay, if I was him, the answer's less obvious. However, I think it's still the same. If I was him, I would still probably do the DC movie. And as a fan watching it, I would definitely want him to do the DC movie. For some reasons. First of all, DC movies, for the most part, mixed reactions from everyone, everywhere. And Peter Jackson is a major talent, and he could really bring some life to that universe. So I think that's a good reason for the fans to want him to do that. Another one is he's already done Lord of the Rings movies. Well, of course, it's a TV series, but he's already done it. Why do it again? We already have his story. We already have his vision. Everything he's done. He then had 3 Hobbit movies to get the same ideas across. And whatever you think about those Hobbit movies, just like, see, I'm a big fan of the first 2 Hobbit movies. I think the Battle of the Five Armies is bad, but anyways, that's I'm getting off track. He's done that world before, and he's done it amazing. He's got nowhere to go from there. Do a DC movie. It's new for him. It's probably more refreshing. So, I don't know. Maybe, Battle of the Five Armies, the whole Hobbit thing, he seems tired of Middle-earth. So, do something different. That's how I feel about it. How about you?
Give me a DC movie. Okay, I want it. And give me Man of Steel 2. Give me Superman 2. Of all the movies you can put on a wall, and I'm an executive at Warner Brothers, I'm looking at them all, and I'm saying, why the hell are we going with Suicide Squad 2? Why the hell are we going with Batgirl right now? Why the hell are we going with Birds? Why do we got 100 Joker and Harley Quinn movies? We need to get Superman 2. We need to get the Batman. We need to get Wonder Woman 2, which we do have that scheduled. But we need to get the Trinity right before we move on. That's what I'm saying. And hey, maybe it's not even like Superman. Maybe it's like Steven Spielberg. It was announced he's doing some DC movie of a guy nobody's ever heard of. Maybe it's that case. I hope not. Now, let me chill out there. Do I want to see Batgirl? Yeah. Do I want to see Birds? Yeah. Hey, maybe, I don't know about Suicide Squad 2. Maybe there's something to do there. Sure. I would like to see that stuff. But let's get everything right first. And when I say that also, I do have some hesitation with that because, yeah, I want Peter Jackson. But then again, how many directors have come on to DC films and then have left? I look at The Flash, who's gone through like 5 different directors. It was originally supposed to come out this March. Obviously, we haven't had that, but the guys who directed Game Night, do you remember their names?
No.
Okay, I don't either. It's Jonathan Goldstein, something. The 2 guys who directed it, they were hired on to do the Flash movie, which at last year's Comic-Con was announced to be a Flashpoint movie. I think if you're going to have a first Flash movie, solo movie, don't make it Flashpoint. But then they're all right, we're going full steam with that. Now rumors have come out that, hey, maybe it's not going to be Flashpoint, which is just DC in the past has announced a bunch of things and none of that's happened. So when I hear things, I have hesitation there, but like, let's get our Flash movie. And I like to hear that it's not going to be a Flashpoint. Let's just have a nice solo Flash movie before we go into any Flashpoint territory stuff. Henry Cavill, he was he was interviewed from Collider at CinemaCon, and he's asked about Man of Steel 2, and he's saying, hey, I want this done. I'm going to talk to people. I want to be Superman. He's asked about, well, we hear your contract might be coming up. And he's like, listen, contract or not, you can come to me and say, are we making a Superman movie? I want to do it. And he wants to do it. And I feel like Henry Cavill is just, I feel bad for him because I love him as Superman. And I don't think it has been done justice. I think the best thing we've gotten from it, and I loved Man of Steel, let me say that. There were parts of Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition, that I liked. When I say this might seem like an insult, but it's not. The best thing Henry Cavill has had with Superman is the ending of Justice League when he's ripping his shirt open and he's flat. That's what I want to see, and I'm sure that's what Henry Cavill wants to do. I want to see that. Matt Reeves was announced like a year ago to do the Batman. Where is that?
Yeah.
What's going on? I want to hear about this stuff, and for as like, I didn't like Suicide Squad, and yeah, I really liked Wonder Woman. I really liked Man of Steel. If you hear me bitch about this stuff, it's only because I love it. I want to see a great Batman movie. I want to see a great Superman movie. I want to see a great Batgirl movie. I want to see this succeed. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm saying, like, by the time we get a Batman movie, it's going to be a decade since we got The Dark Knight Rises. Like, you would think if you're Warner Brothers, your go-to guy is Batman. Where the hell is Batman? And there were things that you hear, well, Matt Reeves is, when he was working on it, he was supposed to hand in a first draft. Whether this is bullshit or not, this is just things that came out, but it wasn't ready on time, so that set things back because they didn't want to put out a Batgirl or a this or that, anything to do with Gotham before they got Batman right. Now, let's get the Batman out there. I believe in Matt Reeves. I've liked what I've heard from him if he wants to go the detective angle, the noir angle. Let's see it. I want it. I'm tired of hearing people coming on to do a movie and we don't, like, we're getting Aquaman. Yeah, we're getting Shazam. Yeah, we're getting Wonder Woman, but I want to be excited. There's not things to be excited for.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question for you. Would you prefer maybe a clean reboot where, this DCU is just scrapped and then we start fresh, with a Batman movie, a Superman movie, and a Wonder Woman movie. Completely recast, completely brand new everything. Of course, there's pros and cons. Cons, you lose Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, you lose, like, they actually have a strong Wonder Woman foundation built, but you'd have to lose it. You would lose, Henry Cavill as Superman. But, pros, you get a Batman movie right away. You get another attempt at a Superman movie right away. Would you want that?
I have somewhat two answers to that. Is that when that topic has been approached, I was kind of like, well, like the thing with this universe they got now, I pretty much, for the most part, love the cast. I think if you do a reboot, okay, you lose your cast, but then with that, I mean, how many Spider-Mans have we had? And I think we've finally landed the right one. And with that being said, I loved Tobey Maguire, but Tom Holland, I think he's the man. We've had how many Batmans? I do think, obviously, they are replaceable. It's the character, not the actor. That is the important thing. I don't want to just say, hey, reboot and do another universe. I think last time we did this, or maybe even in our Infinity review, just to shout out Kevin Feige. To do what he has done is hard. Just to make a good movie is hard. So to make 19 positive movies, you need a pat on the back for that. As we've seen with this DC universe, it hasn't gone so good. Now, whether that is because they don't have leadership like Kevin Feige, you got Kevin Tsujihara coming in and saying, hey, we need Justice League at 2 hours. We can't go over. I need this. I need that. And, whether you agree, whether you like Zack Snyder's vision or not, they did you hired the guy. So what are you doing? Get your shit straight before, so with that being said, I don't think you need a reboot. I think, even though we've had this time with nothing there, you get a good Aquaman movie, you get a good Shazam movie, you get a good Wonder Woman movie, and don't put your universe ahead of your characters. Just make these good movies with these characters, and hey, maybe get a little hint that there's Batman still there, Superman still there. You can slowly build back up without being, here's our universe. You can build up, here are our characters, now we get our Batman movie. Maybe it's a recast, but it's still in the same universe, and we go from there. So I don't think you need to reboot. However, it will probably be the smart idea to reboot.
Interesting. Okay. You see, I just wanted to mention something you mentioned earlier about Henry Cavill and his Superman. I like the portrayal of Superman in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. I really am a fan of it. It's a lot more dark and brooding, of course, than, the original Superman. But I also do like the Justice League Superman, at the end where he's ripping his shirt open.
Yeah.
That was the best part of Justice League, was Superman being like that. The end, I got chills at that. But they're both great interpretations of Superman. It would just be nice if there was some consistency there. I get that, they're using... They had the, depressing Superman, and then people didn't really like it. There was some backlash towards it, so they're bringing the more traditional Superman back, and they're using his death as an excuse to explain why it happens. I get that. It's still a little inconsistent and weird for me, but I'm going to be happy whatever Superman angle they take, because I've been a fan of both of them. I love Batman v Superman. Man of Steel's great too. Justice League's lackluster, but that Superman ending is so good. So just throwing my thoughts about Superman out there. And I want a Batman movie too. Like you were saying, it's going to be a while. That's, arguably their biggest character, but they haven't made one. They've made a Suicide Squad movie before. They made a Wonder Woman.
I know we've had a Suicide Squad movie before the Batman.
Yeah.
And I get the idea of hey, we don't have to be Marvel. We can just start off and go right into this. And even before we had this DC universe, there was a script that leaked out maybe 5 months ago, and it was this Justice League movie that was started off, and Ben Affleck was supposed to direct it. And you read it, and it seemed like, okay, this is a place you could start. But even if you just want, okay, here's Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, let's go into Justice League. Even if you want to take that route, I think you still need a Batman movie somewhere. He is the guy of your universe. So where has he been?
Yeah.
I think the only thing as of now I think they've gotten right is that, okay, Wonder Woman was a hit. Let's get Wonder Woman 2 out. Let's get Patty Jenkins back. Let's do this. I think that's their first move, the right move they've done. And maybe they do want to put out just these, let's put out the Aquaman movie, let's put out Shazam, let's put out Wonder Woman, and then maybe we can start from there. Maybe we'll see. I hope everything pans out.
Yeah, back to the Batman thing. They have a half Batman movie, right, with Batman v Superman, and maybe that's why they They felt like, we can give that and then we can do all these other movies. It's fine because, that's the Batman movie. But, it's not really the Batman movie. It's half Batman. But
well, yeah, even if you look at how the movie came about, they were, let's do a Man of Steel 2, and then, hey, maybe we could put Bruce Wayne in here. Then they're like, why don't we just do Batman vs. Superman? And like for you loved it, so that works for you. But I mean, I just would have, for somebody like me, I would have liked to had more Superman flavor and Batman flavor before we get right into it.
No, I get that for sure, and I love it. However, like I do love it as its own movie, but I think where it's the biggest failure, the biggest problems with the movie is how it tries to set up this universe and how it tries to fit within the universe. I think all those elements to the movie is the worst part of it. I think the movie works as its own piece, but as a blockbuster superhero universe movie, it fails. So
yeah,
even me who loves it can acknowledge that it's not this DCEU extravaganza, movie that it's trying to be, or that it wanted to be, or maybe like that the studio wanted it to be, but it doesn't feel like that's what Zack Snyder wanted it to be. I think that's where the movie is. That's where the biggest flaws in it are. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing lacking from DC Warner Brothers is leadership. If you look at their television, the DC television shows, again, whether you like them or not, they have good leadership behind Greg Berlanti. And then you look at the MCU, you have leadership behind Kevin Feige. You look to this DC universe, DC EU, whatever you want to call it, there hasn't been consistent leadership. You had somebody, okay, yeah, now we have our film Man of Steel, then, hey, let's bring in somebody. You have Jeff Johns there, then you promote Jeff Johns, you demote Jeff Johns, you hire this person, you fire that person, you hire somebody, producer from The Conjuring, I believe, I could be wrong, but from that universe, to be the head of this, and every week you're announcing that some studio heads here, like, you don't gotta announce some guy we have never heard of, and there's no offense to the guy or woman, like, we don't care, just get the leadership. Like, when Iron Man came out, nobody cared about Kevin Feige, but he earned a name, that's why we know it. Just get your leadership, let's go from there, and hopefully we can have some great movies. Speaking of DC, this is something I forgot to put in my rundown, but we're talking about DC. I remember this because a lot of stuff has happened in the past week and a half. So, something was announced. And it was announced the DC Universe. That is going to be DC's streaming service. They have a streaming service coming out also. And they announced some TV series that are going to be on there. They're doing a Titans TV series, which live action will be on there. They've got Teen Titans, the animated show. It's going to be on there. They have a Harley Quinn animated series going on there, which rumored Margot Robbie will voice her. And they also announced what I thought was the kicker is a live-action Swamp Thing TV series. And James Wan, who is directing Aquaman, came out and said, hey, guys, I'm going to be involved with this. To me, I'm not excited for this streaming service as, let's say, like the Disney, because we get a Star Wars one. But this still excites me, hearing a live-action Swamp Thing and to see the possibilities that we could have with this. The thing that also catches my eye from here is that James Wan's saying, hey, I'm going to be a part of the Swamp Thing. If he had issues with Aquaman within the studio or making the film, I don't think he'd be too eager to jump back in and be a part of a TV series. With him doing Aquaman, I gotta assume at least making the film and working with the studio must have went okay if he's now going to be involved with the Swamp Thing TV series. Does that do anything for you? Do you care?
Yeah, mostly... a lot of my thoughts from before mentioning the Disney streaming service is kind of echoed about, streaming being the future and how I think there's a lot of possibility there. But to just mention the James Wan thing specifically, to shout out James Wan, I love James Wan. I'm excited for Aquaman. I think Swamp Thing I don't really know. I know very little about it, but what I do know, I think that'd be an awesome fit for James Wan. I don't know, how much he is involved or whatever. And you do make the good point about things must have went smooth with Aquaman because he wouldn't want to just jump right back into the fire. But I think that's a great thing to take away from it is James Wan is the fucking man and be cool for whatever he does with Swamp Thing.
Yeah, and even just from like what may seem like my bitching is what is some promise of like what I have from here and looking forward is that I am looking forward to Aquaman because of James Wan. I am looking forward to Shazam because of David F. Sandberg. I am looking forward to Wonder Woman 2 because of Patty Jenkins. So they do have that there to intrigue me. But like at the same time, not to echo what I've already said, but like I get excited for these directors, but half the directors have stayed and half of them are not there of what they've announced. So I still am excited for things to come. Now, I mean, we've talked about a lot of things, and we still have to crush through a few more things. So,
okay,
remember the small film we talked about? Okay, you want to mention one more thing?
I was just gonna say, just because like I'm not sure how long we're expecting this episode to go, but maybe we should just like try and keep it a little tight, not like a run wild.
Yeah,
but like
the next two stories, well, three I should say, are short. Okay, this one too.
Let's do it.
All right. Small film announced. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's not that small, but you know I'm saying that. You remember that movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino. So, we hear it's going to be set in the backdrop of, the Manson murders, and we heard Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt. They've casted some more people, and that includes Margot Robbie, who was rumored. She is now confirmed to be in it. We have Kurt Russell, who was in The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino. We have Tim Roth, and the one who is said to, aside from Margot Robbie, to have a big role, but more in the supporting aspect, is Burt Reynolds.
Very interesting. Not really surprising. I thought Margot Robbie was confirmed, so that's not a big shock for me. Of course, that's good news that she is confirmed. Tim Roth, no surprises. Kurt Russell. I mean, it's great that he's come back from The Hateful Eight. He's been, he's worked with Tarantino before, so that must have went well. So that's good. Nothing very shocking. Burt Reynolds, that's cool. I don't know what he will play. I'm not too familiar with Burt Reynolds' work in general, but I know of him, so I think that's cool. But no big shockers. But I'm sure you have maybe some more things to say than me.
Maybe a few more. I think so far we've got a killer cast.
No, 100%.
And with Quentin Tarantino saying that this film will be more in the vein of a Pulp Fiction, the way he's going to tell the story. Excited.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I love Margot Robbie as an actress, and she's done great things. Her with Quentin Tarantino is what I'm curious to see how it plays out, because she's had a lot of great performances, but then this stands out as, is this going to be the one to possibly get her an Oscar? Now, hey, we haven't, obviously the movie's got to come out, but it just makes me think of that. Obviously Leonardo DiCaprio, we've already talked about that. I think this movie has a killer cast. I was already interested, but the more that's announced and talked from this film, I get more excited to see this, which I do believe it has a August release date for 2019.
It's too far away.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think it's too far away. The thing, and I don't want to talk too much about this because I'm not as educated in this part. There have been people that have been like, is this the right move to do this movie? Is it going to be like a slap in the face for people who lived in the time or the family of, I believe Sharon Tate is who Margot Robbie's playing. Hopefully I didn't just name like an ice skater. I believe that's, anyways, let's, if you're listening, you have more knowledge, just like put it in a comment. But I believe the day it's scheduled to come out is the anniversary of the deaths. So I'm not sure if that's just like a placeholder. It's like, here's this happened, let's put it on this date. That's an event. Is that going to be like a smack in the face to the families? That there's going to be people profiting off this. I mean, I don't want to go too much in like, oh, here's a controversial way, because like I am excited for this movie. I love the cast. I think even with Quentin Tarantino saying the story's going to be told more of a vein of like the Pulp Fiction, just gets me more excited. And like you said, it's a long way away, but even then, it's still so close at the same time.
Yeah, we don't need to get in too deep about the real life family. If they're gonna be, that's offensive or if they're doing the bad thing. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I don't think like this movie, like it's not wholly based off that, and you don't really know how they're gonna handle it. I guess you're talking about the angle of they're using it to profit off it. I don't think so.
Which I don't think that's the case.
No.
I know there's people out there who have said that, and even to what Quentin Tarantino said is that it's just going to be set in the backdrop of these murders. And we got our main character and Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio is playing. He's going to be like this actor, and Brad Pitt's playing his like a stunt coordinator or something like that. So they're the main focus, and I mean, you hear they just bump into Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate. Hopefully, I'm not mixing up the name. So I don't think it's just like, here, let's profit off of this. I don't think that's the case. I know there's people out there who think that. I'll just finish off saying I'm excited for this movie. I think it's a killer cast. There's probably going to be even more killer cast, to be announced, to be attached to this movie. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely so fucking excited for this. Huge Tarantino fan, and this cast is incredible. So, what's up next?
What's up next is The Predator. A trailer dropped.
Yes. Are we just going to do the 2 trailers and then that's it for
two trailers and we're getting out of here. Now, I want to ask you a question. Listen, I got to mention one last thing after this trailer, and it'll be quick, and it'll be mostly me just saying something for 3 minutes. I'll tease you there, because there's a lot of things that have been announced and that have been happening in the world of movies. But The Predator. Were you a fan of the first Arnold Predator?
I don't know, because I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I'll go from there. This movie, The Predator, it's directed by Shane Black, who was in that Predator, and I believe wrote it also, at least co-wrote it. This was said to be a sequel to that movie, and like they're going to just retcon everything that came after. And so I'm excited, Shane Black. The cast, I think, solid, but there's not like the standout in there of like, that's the big star. They're solid across the board, I think. I watched this trailer, and like it starts off, you got Jacob Tremblay, the child actor. He's in there, and he's opening up this box, and then he's like playing with it, and then you see the Predator come down. I think this is a terrible trailer.
Oh, really?
Especially if you're trying to get people into it, and you're saying like, hey, this is going to be a return to what made the first Predator special. Again, this is a trailer. I've seen shit trailers to good movies, and I've seen great trailers to shit movies, so hopefully I didn't just mix it up, but you know what I'm getting at. I'll start off with this. If the whole crux of this movie is Jacob Tremblay finding this old Predator tech and he clicks it, and the Predator, I gotta go to Earth now and let's go kill people. If that's the big thing to get the Predator to Earth, to me, I think that's terrible. I think that's awful. So I really hope that's not it. And even if he's like the grandson of Schwarzenegger, and Schwarzenegger decided, hey, let me box up this Predator tech, and I think that would be terrible. I didn't mind the trailer the first time I watched it. The more I think about it, I just don't care, and I really want to, because I love the first Predator. I think it's a classic action movie. I love it. I love it. And when I heard it's going to be a return to what that was, we're going to get the Predator in the jungle. He's going to be tearing people apart. I was excited. I see this trailer. I don't care. You watched it. You don't have that connection. What did it do for you?
It did. First of all, before I go into my thoughts, the plot synopsis does begin with when a young boy accidentally triggers the universe's most lethal hunters return to Earth.
Exactly. That right there just makes me want to vomit. Why? Yeah. Because I believe in Shane Black. I think he's a great filmmaker. But why is that the reason the Predator is coming back to Earth? Because this kid finds alien tech, and I think that's lazy. It could work in the movie. I just think as that's presented, it's lazy.
Okay. See, I'm kind of indifferent towards that. See, I don't know what to think of it until I actually see the movie. Like maybe they goof on it a bunch, or I don't know. So I'm gonna hold off on judgment on that for now. Watching the trailer, I think it's a perfectly fine trailer. It's like I have no connection to the original, so I have nothing to compare it to. But for just like a sci-fi action movie, doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad. It's just like it exists. It doesn't increase my excitement. It doesn't take away from it. So it's like, yeah, there was I didn't know who was in this movie, so as I watched it and I saw different cast members, I was like, oh, that's unique. That's cool. So I mean, there's that in playing in its favor, I guess. But no, they're calling it a teaser trailer too. So maybe they're holding off on some greatness for the full trailer. We'll see. I know that can't change the fact that you just do not like the inciting incident in this movie, but each his own, I guess. But we'll see. I'm lukewarm. Don't really care, but I'm definitely gonna check it out.
I'll say this real quick, 'cause there's a few more things we want to talk about, and I'll try to be quick with this. Is that, like, again, I think it's a shit trailer, but it could be a good movie. Just to go back to Shane Black of him, like, I don't think the purpose is to goof on it. Just even hearing him talk about the film. What I will say is that, like, yeah, it's billed as a teaser, but it's in the middle of a teaser and a trailer. And one of the big letdowns is the reveal of the Predator. I feel like it should have been something more like, there's the Predator, then, okay, there he is. Okay, whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to feel like that for the Predator. Like, especially with Shane Black. I think he's a great filmmaker. I'm saying we're going to bring it back to what was special about it. It's going to be a sequel to the first Predator. And I'm excited, and I see this, and I don't want to just be like, yeah, okay. When it comes, I'll see it, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like that, which is disappointing.
I get that, yeah. I get where you're coming from. And maybe if I had a connection, I'd be on your side, but no, I just don't care.
Now, when talking about this, like, this is going to be the third thing I've just recalled. Now, with the Predator, I loved it. I loved Arnold's action movies. You know what else I loved? Sly Stallone's action movies. I loved the first Rambo. I think the first Rambo, it's it's a drama, it's fun, and you get to Rambo 2, it gets more into like this, not like a superhero, but he's more like, now I'm an action hero. And then when you get to the third one, it is really silly, and it's more of him just like, I'm a hero, nobody can kill me. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. It wasn't great. It was more in like, it felt like Rocky. Rocky 1 was a drama, 2 was a drama. When you get to 3 and 4, they're more animated. Let's not talk about 5. And you get to Rocky Balboa, it tries to go back there. I think it succeeds. I know some people don't think that. Rambo comes out, Rambo 4 comes out a little bit after Rocky Balboa, and it's like that. It's let's return to what Rambo was. I loved Rambo 4. I thought, just for action, it's amazing. The brutality of the action can be ridiculous, that it's fun. Like, there's a scene, I don't care if anyone cares about spoilers, but, there's something bad is about to happen to a character in this film, and you see Stallone, Rambo, just come up from the side, grab this guy's neck, and just rips his neck off. It's so brutal that it's awesome. Towards the end, there's, he takes his machete, cuts this guy's guts out. Amazing. He gets on the big-ass gun, just shooting everybody, and body parts flying everywhere. I loved it. I loved Rambo 4, which is billed Rambo. Why I say this, Rambo 5 is in the works. 70-year-old Stallone is doing Rambo 5, and he's going against a Mexican cartel. I love this, all right? I love this. And what's being said is that Stallone might direct this, and hey, this might not happen, because Rambo 5 had been talked about a few years ago, but now it's looking like it will happen. They want to start shooting by the end of the year, and Stallone might even direct this. Okay, yes, Stallone's 70, but hey, he doesn't look it. He still looks badass. I want to see this movie. I don't know if you have any personal connection to Rambo. I do. I love the Rambo series. Just give me what you did in Rambo. Put that in Rambo 5. I'm there, and you've got all my money.
I haven't seen a Rambo movie in my life, but I know Sylvester Stallone is awesome. So, I mean, maybe I'd have even more respect for him if I'd seen the Rambo movies, but I know of them. And I know if I watch them, I know what I'm getting into, just from, they're still relevant in pop culture. People still talk about them, and clearly you are still very passionate about them. I'll get caught up before this movie happens. I think they're capitalizing on this whole drug cartel thing. I think that's like Narcos and the Sicario coming out or whatever.
Yeah,
it's a thing going on right now. I think that's cool. I think Sylvester Stallone taking down some bad guys is sweet, but no, I do not share your passion because I don't have a history with the movies like you do. I haven't even seen them. So, yeah.
if you just want to watch a blood fest of just somebody kill a bunch of people, watch Rambo, which is Rambo 4. I think, I love the movie. I think there's so much fun to be had, especially if you love gory, bloody.
Sure.
Just
Go watch it.
A guy's going out there and he's going to kill a bunch of people. And I love it. I would say it's my second favorite Rambo movie, but in terms of action, definitely number one. Let's go on to I just wanted to shout that out because when I heard that, as you can tell, I'm excited if that happens. I love Rambo. Ant-Man. The Ant-Man trailer came out. It came out, I think, a few days after Infinity War dropped, which was, I think also, we recorded a day before it dropped, or maybe 2 days. But it dropped. I believe you just rewatched it. Do you want to give your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll give my thoughts on it. I'm really looking forward to this movie, and I love the trailer. I think the action looks great. I think it seems real funny. The bit with Michael Pena talking to Michael Douglas is real funny. Paul Rudd is obviously, of course, hilarious. I'm a big Paul Rudd fan. What I want them to do with these Ant-Man movies is the absurd, making small things big and big things small. I think there's a lot you can do with that. So, when the Wasp, what's the actress's name? I'm blanking on it.
Evangeline Lilly?
Yes. When she, throws the salt and makes it big, and in the last trailer with the Pez, I'm not sure if the Pez is in this trailer, I don't believe so, but that kind of stuff gets me really excited. It looks fun, funny, and it looks really good, and I'm a big fan of the trailer, and there's an ant playing the drums, whatever the fuck is going on there, but I think it looks awesome. I'm curious to see. I assume it takes place before Infinity War.
Yes. It takes place after Civil War.
There you go. So, yeah, I'm really excited for it. And yeah.
Okay, I will mostly echo what you had said there. I really like the first Ant-Man. I think it's fun. Like you said, it can be absurd and just, funny. With this one, I really like the trailer. Let me say that I did. And one thing I'm curious to see is that the past 3 villains have been pretty strong. You have Vulture, and hey, even if you want to throw Kurt Russell in there, as Ego the Living Planet.
Yeah.
A Killmonger, and hey, even Hela. So yeah, I mean more in the past 3, and then Thanos. Thanos is the bad guy of the MCU. My hands down best of MCU. I'm curious to see how Ghost is. I don't know much about Ghost. I
love the design.
This trailer. I do think the design is cool, and I'm curious to see how it plays. From the previous track record, I do have hope. But with that being said, if they go back to their old formula, I'm completely fine. I do think, especially after coming Infinity War, as much as I love it, it'll be nice to come back down to earth for a bit, get our palate cleanser. And one thing I don't need this, but I think would be nice to have is... we're going on to 3 weeks. Infinity War is out. I want to reference something in Infinity War that is a big spoiler. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you've listened this far, you're totally into movies. You've seen Infinity War already. Go ahead, and I think we're going to spoil it.
I'll just give the spoiler alert. Something big we're going to talk about here is I want this movie to end how Ant-Man and the Wasp would end. Just however it's going to. And then in a post-credit, I think it would be cool to see everybody starting to fade away and to see who lives, who dies within the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. I think that would be a cool way to get right into it without just have your ending and then we go on 2 minutes and see everybody fading. I think it could work that way, but I think post-credit would be a nice way to do it. I know I've probably talked more on the Infinity War side of it than the actual Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think good trailer, fun. Give it to me if you want to make your comment.
Yeah, I think if they do the fading away, that'll be back-to-back Marvel movies with very similar end credit scenes, almost the same end credit scene. But I think if they're gonna do that, definitely do it in the end credit scene. Don't do it in the movie.
Yeah,
and I think that would be a great end credit scene. Just to talk about the villain real quick, the original Ant-Man movie, the villain was definitely subpar. So I kind of hope they keep up this trend of having strong villains. I get it if they don't, but to have a lesser villain following Thanos, they're gonna feel even worse, right? Because they've raised the bar so high that the movie coming after, I would like to at least have a strong villain, like Ego. And like that level of good villainy would be awesome. I love the design of the villain. I was just like watching, like that is so fucking cool. Another thing, I think Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd have good chemistry. Just what I've seen, I think they're gonna work really well together, and that's important because the title of the movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's really on the nose. They have to work well together, and from what I've seen, it looks really good.
Yeah, even thinking back to the first Ant-Man, I think one of the strong points of it is the chemistry between the three.
Yes, that was huge.
Michael Douglas, Evangeline Lilly, and Paul Rudd, which going into this one now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, to quickly talk about is Michael Douglas's, the original Ant-Man, his wife, I forget the full name, but like I think her last name is like Hope something. She is going to be in this movie. I believe she's being played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Interesting, because she gets stuck in the what's it called? Quantum realm.
The quantum. Yeah, there you go. Now, people have said, hey, we didn't see Michelle Pfeiffer in the trailer. I think we did. There's a quick shot of the Wasp, and she does, like, I think a kick or a flip, and when she lands, you see her quick, but it's red. So whether that's a flashback or now, I do think we see the original Wasp in there. So I do think we get a glimpse of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I hope this movie does get like weird and freaky with that quantum realm shit, because it opens and Michael Pena talks about it briefly. Yeah, and I want that stuff.
I'm curious to see like how it plays in with Michelle Pfeiffer. Is she just already out? Because at the end of Ant-Man, we see Michael Douglas looking into how to get her out because he finds out that Scott went there and came back. I'm curious to see, is she just back? Do we get her in the middle part, or is the film getting her back?
Yeah.
Because part of it is they're on the run because of, see, that's where I'm curious. They're on the run because of Civil War, but then Black Widow mentions Scott and Clint took the deal to be on house arrest. So is it just they're on the run and then they get caught? Speaking of that, do you think there's any shot we get Hawkeye in a post-credit or... Yeah. In this movie,
I think there is definitely of all the the first one had Falcon, he's not going to be in it. Of all like the Avengers that I think will be in it, I think it's definitely Hawkeye, and I think that'd be so cool. Hawkeye and Ant-Man in Civil War were a great team up. I loved it. Like come on, Arrow guy. Remember when he says that he's on the Arrow? I think like that whole banter with them is awesome, and I think Hawkeye in this movie would be fucking sweet, especially because we didn't see either of these two pretty main characters in Infinity War. So we put them in here, make me feel better about not seeing them. I think that'd be a great pick. Do you think he's going to be in here?
After I mentioned that, I'm starting to think that maybe he has a better shot of showing up in a post credit of Captain Marvel. And maybe not. And I'll give two scenarios of why maybe and why not. Is that, again, these are rumors. These are not confirmed, but I remember set photos of Hawkeye. He's dressed up in his Ronin suit. I don't know much of the backstory of him being Ronin, but I know that's a thing. So, of how he's going to be Ronin in Avengers 4, and I remember there were set photos, I believe, that they were in Japan, and one of the rumors that came out were he's hunting Skrulls. Now, Skrulls, they're going to be in Captain Marvel. Maybe he's in a post-credit scene there. If that's not the case, and he just happens to be there, he can show up in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I have a question for you. Okay. In the post-credit scene, when you see Sam Jackson and they're driving, and he says to I forget her name, the age, the age.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Romanoff? No, is that right?
No.
Oh, that's fucking Black Widow. Give me a break. I'm tired.
Yeah, I'll give you a break. I know we've been talking a long time, but he says, "Tell somebody to meet us somewhere," and I've seen it 4 times, and all the 4 times I can never get a clear of who he's saying, tell this person to meet here. Is he saying Clint, or is it just a random name?
I've seen it twice. I don't remember hearing Clint. So I think it's a random name, because Clint would have jumped out to me, but yeah, you've seen it 4 times, you know more than me. But yeah, I have no idea.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, every time I've gone, obviously people laugh within their bits. Every time I go, there's always a one-liner that I missed from each time. Small little bit, but... And another thing to Captain Marvel of why, hey, maybe this is why he's not in there. And maybe this, and again, Captain Marvel comes out in March. We're still a ways away, so even getting a speculation. It's not of the movie itself, but possibly post-credit, is I remember when we were getting to Infinity War, there was speculation, is she going to be in Infinity War? The Russo brothers said, no, she's not, but hey, maybe they're playing coy. Then there was a rumor that came out a few days before that Brie Larson had filmed a scene with Thanos. Does that show up in Captain Marvel? We know that Ronan is going to be in Captain Marvel, who was in Guardians of the Galaxy, which, if you know that, he was part of Thanos' crew. Do we see any of that?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I have no idea.
I know. So, that's why, like, when I could see Hawkeye showing up in post-credit there. Maybe it's Ant-Man. Is Thanos going to be in Captain Marvel at all? We got Ronan.
That's an interesting
Yeah.
idea. I didn't even think there would be a chance at seeing Thanos in Captain Marvel. But, interesting idea.
But, yeah, I kind of went more on the other side of this trailer. I'm looking forward to it. It comes out soon.
Yeah.
Comes out in July. I feel bad for the UK people out there. They get it a month later, which usually they get movies like a week or two before us, but now they get it a month later because of soccer. I'm not a fan of soccer. They call it football. I was talking to somebody.
Is
from
it the World Cup?
That, and so they decided, hey, let's put the movie out a month later.
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Looking forward to it. July. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. And on that note, I'm super hungry.
Well,
is that what? Do we hit all our topics?
We did, and I'll tell you what, you're lucky because we hit all our topics, and you can go eat. We can get out of here.
Awesome. It's good to be back. I'm glad we finally worked our schedule out. We've been consistent for like this whole time. We just missed a week or whatever, but a little break here and there doesn't hurt. I think this was a good episode. We caught up on a lot of shit we missed and some newer stuff too. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
And even not to cut you off, but even next week, there were some things I wanted to get to because of time. If you're listening, we've gone a bit of time. So even and maybe if we do one Monday or next week, there's even going to be more stuff because there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So,
I find it interesting when we do it consistently. Like there's news that drops, but I don't think it's that significant. Most people don't care about it. And like the week and a half we don't do it, there's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But we'll try and stay on the ball so that we don't get piled up with the news like that. Anyways, again. So yeah, I think that's all. I'll just give our plugs. Yeah, Jake and Ben Show on Twitter, Jake and Ben Show Facebook page. Follow us, like us there. Give us some comments, give us some questions. We'll get to. People haven't really been active with us. Come on, we need questions, we need comments. Let's do it. On YouTube, if you're watching this, we post our main show, Jake and Ben Show, on YouTube, and we're getting into video reviews. Our Infinity War one is up there. We're gonna have more in the future. Solo, Deadpool. So check out our reviews there. They're discussions, reviews. They're about an hour long. They're like this, but on camera, and that's about it. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe to us on Google Play if you want to listen there. On iTunes, we're on there too. Give us a 5-star review if you love us that much. That'd be awesome. And I think that's all. Ben, is that all?
That is all. See you next time.
All right, yeah. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.